bar. He keeps staring over at me. Grey jacket.
Michael Gilbraith. Laura's sister's
X. 2 minutes.
ex.
2 weeks ago.
Really?
Serena's really devastated.
Can I have 2 vodka and tonics?
Excuse me,
You too. OJ.
Gary, get this girl a drink.
Can I have a vodka and Coke, please? White wine spritzer and a gin and tonic. Thanks.
When are we supposed to be getting a drink?
I'm gonna call it a night.
You're right, let's go.
Rachel, darling, we're gonna go. No, don't. I've just got you a drink in.
Where is that bloody husband of yours, by the way?
What time is it?
Isn't he supposed to be taking you out for dinner?
Well, I'm gonna wait for him another 10 minutes and then I'm gonna go home.
Well, I'd give him the end of testicles if I were you for that, mate. Sure you don't want to get a cab with us?
No, I'm fine. But I'm gonna wait 10 minutes. Okay, bye.
Rachel? Sweetheart, I'm so sorry I couldn't get away. I left you a couple of messages.
Pass me a towel.
Sweetheart, what's wrong? What's wrong? Rach? Sweetheart?
I'm sorry I have to ask this again. If you were raped, Rachel, why has it taken you 3 days to report it? I didn't quite catch that, Rachel.
I was ashamed.
You've spoken to Michael Gilbraith. You know what he's saying, don't you?
There was a mutual attraction between you and the defendant, wasn't there? So you had consensual sex, didn't you?
No.
This was a false accusation, wasn't it, Rachel? A malicious, selfish, heartless accusation.
No.
Michael Gilbraith didn't rape you at all. You made it clear you wanted him. You let him drive you to a car park to have sex with him. And then you felt so ashamed, you felt you had to make this story up, didn't you? Your story was all a fabrication, wasn't it? A convenient lie to save your marriage.
I'm sorry.
Rachel, look. We pushed the boat out for you, and you're making me feel like I made a mistake. Rachel, do you know how few reported rapes ever get to trial? If you back out now, the whole world's going to think you made this up. And all the other women who report rapes to us, you're letting them down too. Rachel.
Michael. I am so pleased.
Oh, thank you, Cleo. Thank you for
so
everything.
much.
Thank you.
Oh, morning, stranger.
Late again, Millicent?
Oh, depressed.
Not tired of sleeping alone?
Oh, I think I can cope with that. Career. My last cases were a 73-year-old accused of stealing from a corner shop and a 13-year-old girl drunk and disorderly for the 4th time.
Well, imagine what you get if the chief clerk didn't like it.
All I need's a nice, wise person to take me out for dinner and discuss it with me.
Don't say anything.
Where's the Ferrari?
Don't say anything.
What are you driving that for? Come with your cornflakes.
I'm not listening.
Mikey? What is it?
Rachel, Browning is suing me in the civil courts. We've got to go through it all again.
Did you look at the original trial?
Jimmy, rape is hardly my area of expertise, and if it broke down 18 months ago, what chance now?
It's almost unheard of for a rape to get to the civil courts.
Well, I'm a jury man.
Gilbraith was going to give evidence at the trial, but it never got that far. But it needs someone like you, to get at him, one-to-one, expose his weaknesses.
In front of some cold-hearted civil judge.
Henry? More papers to sign, I'm afraid.
There are barristers who do these all the time. Why me?
It's private money. It'll be a lot, won't it, Ren?
Plenty potatoes, sir.
What are you messing with legal aid for? A couple of these, we could get your bankruptcy discharged.
Has Cleo been retained?
Rachel Browning's claiming damages on 3 counts. For the alleged rape itself, for distress, and for loss of earnings.
Why does she want to go through this again?
I wish I knew. There's no new evidence.
She's like a stalker.
Michael, I don't think you raped her, but we can't be complacent. Look, I have to warn you. The burden of proof is lower in a civil trial.
What does that mean?
They only have to prove rape was probable.
God almighty, what's probable? I mean, how low do they move the bar? This woman's ruined my life. She'll go on and on until I'm too tired to fight it anymore.
But don't worry. Her new counsel's an undischarged bankrupt who's never done a rape before, let alone a civil action. He's only in it for the money. And I know his tricks rather well.
Red alert. Oh, yes.
It's a bank account. Just making sure those payments are zipping through to my creditors.
I'm only taking a personal interest because I like you. You're not doing him any favours, you know.
Look, I haven't put so much as £1 on anything for weeks, not even the lottery.
What were you doing when I came in?
Just looking.
Morning.
Hey.
I hear Zach's coming to visit. That's great news.
Yeah, on his own too. How's France?
Oh, I had a great time.
Did you find anywhere?
Beautiful little cottage. I want you to come and visit. Henry, I want you to have this. Open it later.
£10,000.
Till you get back on your feet. I can't spend all I've won. It's all a bit daft. I don't feel like I've earned it.
Mo, you're a friend for life, but I can't.
Oh, Henry, please let me.
No, really. I'll be fine. Hey. Hey. Rachel. Hey. Will.
Yeah.
There's a lot at stake for you. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Don't worry about the money. The money's not a problem. I've got a big contract coming from a new building, so...
Are you sure you can handle cross-examination by the same counsel for a second time?
I just got rattled when she tried to make out that I was some sort of slag. I kept thinking, What does Will think? He's been my rock. So I am ready for Cleostein now.
They went after Rachel's reputation. I want you to do the same to Michael Gilbraith.
I just need to remind Rachel of what to expect.
Mr. Farmer, that doesn't matter. See, Michael Gilbraith is not some testosterone-fueled bloke who just pushed things a bit too far. When I didn't do what he said, he forced his hand into my mouth until I was choking. He raped me for 20 minutes. So I promise you, I can handle whatever they throw at me now.
Your stepmother won't come to London anymore. She goes to bed in her Wellingtons. Her secateurs are welded to her wrists. Now she wants me to sell the flat. Will you talk to her?
Why me?
The girls always side with their mother. I'm not ready to give up my club.
Is this why you invited me for tea?
No. I wanted to see you as well. You never ring me.
I've always rather enjoyed our relationship as estranged father and son.
I thought you might like to borrow some money.
I've got some nice cake.
Yes, thank you, Leslie.
I don't know what to say.
I want to help. I've got more than I need. 50,000. It'll see you on the road to solvency.
No. Thank you. Can't accept. Sorry.
All right. You don't want my help.
I can't. I mean, I couldn't accept even if I knew you better.
Marry that Marsh girl. Dad, family's in fish.
She's my junior colleague.
Half the tuna in the Pacific have swum through Daddy's hands. Probably dying to have kids. Problem and future solved.
Not my type.
You need a woman to sort you out. Your life's a shambles. You can't be a decent barrister and live like a gypsy.
Or maybe I'll take up fortune telling her. If you wanted to reclaim me as a son, just gone about it the wrong way.
I don't know the right way. You should know it was your mother left me. In the sense of the bedroom. It was a lonely feeling.
About 10 minutes after Laura and Vicky left, I decided to go home too. So I said goodbye to Gilbraith.
Did you kiss him?
I gave him a peck on the cheek. He asked me if I wanted to lift home then, but I said no.
Well, he says he asked you what a married woman was doing alone on her birthday.
And I'm supposed to have said, sad, isn't it? Should we do something together? I don't think so.
Well, unfortunately, he was very consistent.
Oh, he's smart, all right.
But what happened outside here?
Well, Gilbraith came outside after me, and it started to rain. And he asked me again, rather sweetly, I thought, if I wanted to lift. And he pointed to his car over there in the corner. I mean, I didn't really see the harm in it. After all, he wasn't a complete stranger. Laura knew him.
So you got into his car and gave him directions home?
Yeah, he tried to kiss me in the car, and, well, even though I was angry, I thought that I handled it okay. I mean, it didn't seem aggressive.
Why didn't you get out of the car then?
Well, that was my big mistake, wasn't it? To be perfectly honest, I was tired, it was raining, and I just wanted to get home quickly. I mean, I thought I could handle it. And he was Laura's friend.
So what did you think when Rachel came up and started talking to you?
Oh, this is just a married woman being friendly. Maybe acknowledging the attraction a bit, you know. Then I began to think that she wasn't happy. She was lonely, maybe. I guess married people can be.
But in your statement, you said that she, when she was leaving, she half kissed, half brushed your cheek in a very provocative way.
Yeah. I thought she might just be playing games, but I couldn't leave without finding out if she was serious.
So you followed her outside?
Yeah. When I came out, she was waiting for me. She said you might have hung back for a bit, made it seem a little less obvious, you know?
What do you think about that?
Well, sort of, you're on. So I said, do you want to come back to mine? And she said, no way. So I pointed to my car. And as soon as we got in there, she was all over me.
So you let him drive off?
Yeah, well, he started off with a talk, basically, as soon as I got in the car. And it was just like a complete personality change. All the things that he wanted to do to me. I told him to stop, but he didn't. So I asked him if he would let me out. Said I would walk. He wouldn't. He locked all the doors, and that was when I really started to panic. But he was completely calm and unfazed.
When you said the things he wanted to do to you, how did that come across? Was it seductive or laddish?
It was like written porn. You know, the kind of things you used to giggle over at school.
Even after I drove off, she was all over me. I thought we were going to have an accident. That's why I pulled into the car park.
That wasn't entirely innocent.
No. Look, it was late. She was very definitely willing. It felt like an adventure. Serena kicking me out really shook me up. I didn't know whether to go back or to enjoy my freedom.
Yes, it's not a good feeling. Suddenly being alone. We should go. Millie, you're just what I'm looking for. Junior on the Gilbraith rape.
Oh, my God. No, I mean, thanks.
Henry, let's behave well on this one, shall we?
Absolutely. You look happy.
I just got Browning v. Gilbraith.
Oh, I'll have to move out then.
You can't live together and be on opposite sides in court.
We're not living together.
There's people telling this place.
Stop it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're living together.
Well, look, don't worry, I'll move out.
Well, I'm the lodger.
We haven't got anywhere else to go.
Where will you go?
Oh, I've got options.
Billy's.
Maybe, maybe not. But since we're on opposite sides, I couldn't possibly say.
Rachel Drawes Gilbraith is a full-on psycho, which seems a bit unlikely. He's an accountant. There's nothing against him. No complaint on file, no violence, nada.
Doesn't seem like a very thorough police investigation to me. Did they look into his background?
Everything since his gonads dropped. They were convinced it was date rape at first because of the lack of forensic.
I think they're both overplaying it. They go to the car park, she backs off at the last minute, he gets the wrong signal. Still rape, though.
Tell me about the family setup.
Well, he was fostered at 10 by a nice middle-aged couple, now deceased. They adopted him, and it was a success.
There are no marks on her. No sign of anything more than rough sex in the back of a vehicle.
Yeah, but she says that he had his hand practically down her throat. I mean, what about the gloves that he was wearing, or did he throw them away?
No, the police thought they got lucky. They found them in a rubbish bag outside his flat. Rachel identified them, but well, he denies they were his.
Must have had her DNA all over them.
Well, they put them through forensic to test for her saliva, but it was negative.
But why would you make up the thing about the hand? I don't think we're going to win this case if we ignore what Rachel says. Someone want to look into Michael's childhood more carefully? And we should get those gloves tested again.
We've nearly exhausted the budget.
I thought Will Browning was designing a skyscraper.
Yes, well, apparently there's been some kind of delay. I told him that he'd have to pay the other side's costs if we lost, but he didn't take it.
Costs are hardly...
Arguing amongst yourselves already?
You're working too hard.
You don't have much choice.
You've got problems at work, haven't you? If we lose, you might not be able to pay.
We won't lose.
Did you know we didn't have enough money to cover the costs?
Well, I knew there was a risk. I thought it was a risk worth taking.
Right. Why would you want to take a risk?
Well, it's not a risk, really, is it? It's,
Just as long as you're doing this because you believe me and not because you're trying to find some kind of proof that I'm telling the truth.
Of course not.
Right. Well, How about we have an early night then?
I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired.
Yeah, you look tired. So why don't we have an early to sleep night then? Hmm?
Well, it seems Rachel Browning's marriage isn't quite as cosy as they say it is.
Yes, it's an interesting case, that, miss. I myself was forced to doubt my own wife's fidelity, only to discover that she was merely unhappy.
I don't see the relevance.
Well, I mean that the facts suggest that the plaintiff's husband more or less forced her to prove her faithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, miss, I was forgetting your own circumstances.
Yes, but they're not the same. Are you fishing? Well, I don't care. The Baron's offered me a really pathetic amount of alimony. My reward for 26 years of devotion.
Well, I suppose if you're that rich, you don't throw it about.
Yes, you could put it that way. Which is why I'm going to have to take him to court. And it's all going to be very public and very nasty.
Then the second thief I ever defended was caught with £400 of 20s up his bottom. And he wanted me to say it was his own money and that some old lag had told him it was the best place to keep it. And the prosecution opened with, I want to take you through the defendant's movements. He nearly fainted. On that 3-mile cross-country walk, was the money inside your rectum the entire time? When you bought the bus ticket, was it still there? And how did you pay for the chicken vindaloo?
I think I've got some champagne somewhere.
I thought you moved into your friends.
So, the case doesn't start till tomorrow, does it?
Save it for when I win. Sorry. Hello, Les. What's wrong? Well, why can't he come to the phone? Yeah, okay. Okay. It's my old man. I don't know what's wrong.
I'll see you in court tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you in court.
He's passed out. I don't know what to do. He's been drinking all day.
You look as if you have as well.
I'm all right now. He likes me to keep him company. He kept going on about wanting to see you urgently. Wouldn't say why. He often goes like that.
Leslie, get an ambulance.
Okay, what have we got?
It's Marshall Gillespie, 68 years old. Passed out 2-3 hours ago.
Henry?
Hiya, baby. We're operating now. It's a perforated bowel. He's lost a lot of blood. I'm sorry I'm in court today, but I'll be back tonight.
Oh, Henry, I've been dreading this. And you were getting on so well, weren't you?
Do you want to follow me? Something happened, Henry.
No, I'm fine.
Not a good start.
didn't realise that she might be cross-examining today.
Rachel, don't lose heart. Do you think Gilbraith might rape someone else? You've got to go in there and do the best you can. We'll help you through this.
Look at the state of me. I'm worse than it was the last time. What's going to happen to me if I lose this case?
Don't worry about Cleostine. Stand up to her, she'll collapse.
Make sure Michael has a strong cappuccino when we adjourn, and a large Kit Kat. He likes Kit Kat.
When the respondent started talking in what you describe as top-shelf language, what was going through your head?
Nothing but get out of here. I tried to open the door as he turned left, but he had locked them somehow.
What happened next?
He just said, "Come on, let's do it." And I said no. About 6 times, loud and clear. And he laughed at me. He even managed to get the seats back somehow. When I was trying to find the central locking switch, I was panicking, but I couldn't seem to do him any harm. It was such a tight space. So I thought, if I make a lot of noise, then someone might hear me.
Did he say anything?
Yeah, he held me against the seat. And he said, "Do you want to get hurt? Or do you want to enjoy this?"
How did you feel about that?
I felt I would get hurt if I fought him. I had to reason with him. I talked about love, about my husband, about how we were all connected and what would our friends think. He just talked about what he wanted to do to me. Then he started to undress me. So I bit his hand. And he pulled back my hair.
Did he say anything then?
Yes. He said, "If you so much as scratch me, I'll kill you."
Never.
My lord.
I think this is a good time to adjourn. No interruptions, please.
Oh, thank you very much. You remembered. God, I hate this. I've been waiting a year and a half to tell my story.
Oh, good. Thank you, Millie. Michael, if you want to win, don't do that again.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just couldn't let it go.
You must.
That's what he said. If you so much as scratch me, I'll kill you.
Yes.
And you believed him?
Yeah. It was his eyes. They terrified me. I just did what he wanted after that. I was in shock. I just wanted it to be over.
And how long did this go on for?
Seemed like hours, but it must have been about 20 minutes. He put his hand into my mouth to shut me up. Forced it right in. He said eventually that he would take it out if I promised to keep quiet. I was just crying, but he kept on.
Can you remember what he said afterwards?
Yeah. Yes, he said, "Don't go telling anybody that I raped you because you and I know that I didn't." And then he just started the car and he drove off. I did ask him to let me out. He drove within yards of my house. He was so arrogant. Then I just fell out of the car. I was very confused. And I didn't know what to do.
Thank you.
Sorry to hear about Sir Marshall.
Any news?
No.
I hope you don't think I'm being impertinent, miss. But I think you're making a big mistake if you make a large settlement your priority.
I beg your pardon?
Well, a woman of your talents is clearly destined to go to the very top in the law. And you have to think clearly whether or not a high-profile alimony case would do harm to your career.
It's very kind of you to be so concerned, Ray.
I mean, I appeased my wife by selling the best car I ever owned and putting £50,000 in her hand. I felt a lightening of the soul.
Yes, well, I'm hoping the Baron will feel something similar.
I was thinking more of your future.
Well, I don't know what's in store for me. I mean, my future suddenly seems rather cold and lonely.
A woman of your talents, beauty, still in her prime. There's another millionaire out there.
Oh, really? Well, you're very kind. I was going to make some changes when I first took over here. You being one of them.
Yeah, I was dimly aware there was something in the air, miss.
Yes, well, it was insecurity. I'm glad I didn't. You're a first-rate clerk, Ray. I don't think we've had a young barrister here who hasn't thrived thanks to you.
Well, you think about what I've said. We've never had a woman Lord Chief Justice.
Come on through. How are you?
Okay.
My little niece.
Sleeping like a log.
And Michael?
Wretched. How can you think of anything else?
You love him so much, don't you?
Why shouldn't I?
Must have been strange having him turn up on your doorstep saying he'd been accused of rape. Didn't you ever doubt him?
I'd seen other women throw themselves at him. I knew he was susceptible.
Did he just sit and tell you everything?
Hmm? Didn't enjoy hearing it. It was him and another woman. Why are you asking me this again?
It wasn't loaded.
Are you having doubts? Ever since I took him back, there hasn't been one thing that's made me think. Believe me, I would leave him if there was.
Of course.
Do you know, the police were so desperate, they even tried to plant a pair of gloves in his rubbish.
I didn't know that.
The trial never got that far. I bought him these gloves, which he lost weeks before. These gloves, there wasn't a trace of him on them. They were a plant.
Would you think they'll do something like that again?
It's not the police this time, thank God. No. What I worry about is this burden of proof business. I mean, there's no jury. What if she impresses the judge and he gets nervous or makes a mistake?
Henry? Don't run away.
Poor Leslie. He's worked for us for over 20 years and now he feels guilty because Marshall never liked to drink alone, but you can't tell that man what to do. Would you like to be alone with him?
Is he dying?
Well, he's too frail for an operation like that.
You concocted this story to keep your marriage alive, didn't you?
My marriage is fine, thank you.
You didn't tell your husband you'd been raped for 24 hours.
I was traumatized.
Isn't that too strong a word? No, I put it to you. You behaved exactly like someone who'd just committed adultery and then been found out by her husband.
Well, perhaps it did seem like that, but I was shaken and confused.
You didn't tell your partner of 12 years. The father of your children. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Unless you have a guilty conscience. And that's why you've brought this action, isn't it? Because your husband doesn't believe you and you want to keep your family together.
My family is together.
You were angry because your husband was late. You felt he was neglecting you in general, and so you took your revenge and then tried to cover up, didn't you?
I was angry with him, but I wouldn't sleep with somebody else because of it.
6 months before you wrongfully accused the respondent of rape, you had an affair with Robert Gillingham, didn't you? Please answer the question. When you were on holiday in Greece with your children, did you have an affair with Robert Gillingham?
My lord, this cannot be admissible.
Mr. Farmer, since the plaintiff insists in all her statements that she is a happily married woman, and since Mr. Gilbraith has insisted in all of his that she is not, I must allow it.
Mr. Gillingham has given a statement and will give evidence if necessary. Did you have an affair with him?
No, it wasn't an affair. I became fond of him briefly.
You had sex with him?
No, I didn't.
Well, you held hands, you kissed, you went for walks while your children were being looked after.
Yes, but I never had a sexual relationship with him.
Well, even if that's true, your action doesn't imply a happy marriage, does it?
My husband and I were going through a rough patch. He had been away for most of 6 months, and I lost confidence. The only time I have ever had intercourse with any man other than my husband is with that man.
I'm not disputing that. Thank you.
OK, I don't know whether this is relevant. Michael Gilbraith's mother was 18 when she had him, but he was brought up mostly by his father.
Michael's mum was 18. Can we find out more? She might well still be alive.
I do have a witness to examine.
Thank you.
It says on the adoption forms, the relationship with his mother was abruptly terminated when he was 10.
Is your father all right?
Oh, he's at the theatre, but it's too early to say.
No, I really like him.
Yeah, I know.
I'm cross-examining your next witness, the redoubtable Mrs. Vicky Rushton.
Well, you're up against Ben.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I wanted you.
Will, you can't have me.
Well, who knows when the chance may come again.
Sleep tight, sweetheart.
So everything you told me about the holiday, that was the truth?
Yeah, all of it.
And the bit about you not having sex with him?
Of course. I wouldn't do that to you. Look, if you don't want to give evidence for me, then you don't have to.
Of course I do!
You do realise hiding large sums of money from me is a reportable offence?
I saved £200 for my son's birthday present. 200 miserable pounds.
You couldn't even be bothered to put into an interest-bearing account. If your clerk's right about the fee for this civil case, I may be able to deal with your creditor sometime next year. Get you back on your feet, but you've got to go carefully.
Don't worry, I am living life in the slow lane, Malcolm.
Have you nailed this alleged rapist yet? When do we see some money?
Did I tell you? He's an accountant as well. This holiday romance.
Laura was the only one that told.
That's where they've got it from. Thank God it's your friend Vicky giving evidence next.
We've got a problem. I think we better make a decision on this one, Jimmy.
Vicky, you look flushed. Have you got a problem?
What I hate is all that
She was asking for it nonsense. If every woman that looks sexually attractive was deemed to be asking for it, we'd all end up being raped.
Oh, Vicky, hang on here.
Don't worry, I know what to say. It was her birthday. She was having a whale of a time. She's a respectable mum most of the time. Why can't she let her hair down? Did she look attractive? You bet. Is that a crime? I don't think so.
Right.
Can you tell me what you remember about that night?
Yes, I was late at a meeting. And I phoned Rachel a couple of times and left messages, and she'd done the same to me. But we kept missing each other. I eventually got to the pub at about 10:45, incredibly late, but she'd gone, so I went home.
What happened at home?
I found Rachel in the shower.
Were you surprised?
Oh, I was surprised that she wasn't angry with me for missing the meal we planned for her birthday, yes.
Can you remember how your wife told you about what happened to her?
Yes. She wasn't herself for about 24 hours, and I found her in the children's room after she'd put them to sleep. She'd obviously been crying for quite some time. I begged her to tell me, and eventually she did.
What was your reaction?
I was shattered. But I believed her. It explained everything.
Do you have a strong marriage?
Yes. I married Rachel when she was quite young, and nobody gave us much of a chance. But we have 2 children, and yes, a very good relationship.
What do you feel about fidelity in a marriage?
We both believe in it very strongly. I don't believe that Rachel has ever been unfaithful to me.
Thank you.
Do you know why the police advise rape victims not to shower?
Because it destroys forensic evidence.
Did you ever consider your wife might be showering to conceal something? Intimacy with another man, perhaps? Did you ever think about that?
Absolutely not.
Did you know about this man she met on holiday?
Yes, he rang the house once, and I had to tell him to leave Rachel alone.
When you first saw her on the night in question, showering in the dark, deflecting your questions, did you not consider that she might have had an affair?
Well, if I did, I put it out of my mind immediately.
You can't put something like that out of your mind, can you? Can you?
I trust my wife.
But even though your work means you don't have a properly fulfilled relationship?
I think we do.
Well, you went to Relate, the marriage guidance organization, didn't you? Just before your wife sued my client.
Yes, we did.
Was that because you were suspicious of your wife and it was poisoning your marriage?
No.
Was it because your wife felt you were no longer interested in making love to her?
Look, there were some issues to do with our lives, how hard we work, bringing up children at the same time, all of which I'm told are very common to people like us. But perhaps the romantic side of things was taking a back seat.
Aren't we all standing here because of what came out of these counseling sessions? Wasn't this the only way to rebuild trust between you?
I don't think so.
Your wife needed to prove herself to you, and you needed that proof badly. Didn't you?
Perhaps, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Rachel said he was gabbling bad porn stuff at her. Why didn't the police investigation throw anything up?
Porn's the first thing they look for with sexual cases. They were pretty thorough. Nothing on the home computer, nothing at work. We hired family entertainment on Serena's video card.
We might as well check out what he hired.
Look, we can't afford this. It means research, interviews, records, possibly even bribes. How can it prove anything?
Is there a really big problem with money? Anything could help, you know. We could lose this. I'm going to cross-examine him. I need to get inside his head.
Laura, why won't you give evidence for me? I didn't see what happened. You were with me all night. I went home, didn't I? Look, I know that your sister is obsessed with Galbraith. Is that why you're protecting him? This is bad, Rachel. He raped me. Why won't you believe that?
Because my sister isn't a fool. She wouldn't have anything to do with violence, and you had a reason to lie about Michael.
How long have you known me, Laura?
I've known my sister all my life. Why didn't you just leave Will if you were unhappy instead of dragging everyone else into your mess and ruining their lives too?
Henry, sorry to have to tell you bad news. Your client's best friend Laura will be giving evidence against her.
When did this happen?
Well, Rachel tried to pressure her, and unfortunately for her, it's had the opposite effect.
Well, thanks for cheering me up.
How could Laura do this to me?
Wasn't a good idea trying to contact her.
What can she say, Rachel? Is there anything you haven't told me?
What difference does it make? I mean, I came here to save my marriage, but it looks like I've failed, doesn't it?
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You and Rachel were close confidants, weren't you?
Yes, completely. She'd tell you everything about herself, everything intimate.
Did she say something in the pub that night?
Yes, we went to the pub that night, and she said that sexual relations in her marriage had broken down. Were almost non-existent.
Did she say why?
She said the kids took up her time. But her husband was a workaholic and was always tired or unavailable.
And were you sympathetic?
Yes, obviously. At first.
What changed your mind?
When she was putting on lipstick before we left the lady, she said something a bit unlike her.
What did she say?
She said, if I don't get laid in the next 2 hours, I'm going to explode.
Thank you.
The plaintiff told you she was going to have a birthday dinner with her husband, didn't she?
Yes, but he hadn't turned up.
But surely the remarks were meant to refer to her husband. Sex with a partner after a birthday dinner.
I didn't think that's what she meant.
Well, whatever your feelings, do you agree that she could have meant that?
Yes.
Did you assume that she meant Mr. Gilbraith?
No.
Thank you. Thanks for the test and the gloves.
I nearly paid for that out of my own pocket. It's money thrown away, too.
Traces of washing powder. Did you notice?
Yeah, I did. And according to his statement, the girlfriend, Serena Clifford, she bought him a pair of gloves as a present, which she claims to have lost weeks before. And was she asked to identify the ones that were found in the bin?
Not according to what I've read, but then she'd have backed him anyway, wouldn't she?
I suppose she's the sort of person who's going to lie to get him out of trouble.
I don't see where this is getting us.
Well, I was just thinking, could we get an odontologist to look at them?
More tests? An odontologist? What's an odontologist?
Ooh, about $1,000 a day?
Now, is there any particular reason why you remember seeing Mrs. Browning talking to Michael Gilbraith that evening?
Well, unlike most men, you tend to notice the most attractive women in your pub. She was a sexy lady who knew how to show herself off. You couldn't help noticing her, and I got the impression they were both up for it.
What gave you that impression?
Well, she was standing right up close to him, which is a bit of a giveaway.
How close exactly?
She was rubbing up against him.
Did you see them leave the pub together?
Yeah, they left together, and I saw them outside getting into his car.
Did you see what they were doing?
Yeah, he held the door open, they got in, and then they kissed full on.
Thank you.
Michael Gilbraith is a regular, isn't he, Mr. Laker? You've known him about 10 years?
Yeah, about that.
Isn't your pub so full at 10 p.m. on a Friday that nobody could get to the bar without being guilty of rubbing intimately against any number of people?
I suppose so.
Now, you couldn't have seen Rachel Browning kissing Michael Gilbraith because his car was parked in a place you couldn't possibly have seen from behind the bar.
I saw it through the window.
You couldn't possibly have seen them unless you forced your way through a packed room, gone to the door, opened it, and gone out onto the street. It's very odd behaviour for an overworked barman, isn't it? You didn't really see them at all, did you?
Well, I must have done. I saw them.
I would like to suggest an early adjournment, my lord, since my client was about to give evidence, but is getting married and has a fitting. The date was arranged before the trial.
My learned friend has forgotten there is no jury to impress. I'm sure my lord has taken the hint that her client has a partner who's prepared to make an honest man of him.
May I suggest, when my learned friend has mellowed a little...
Does he want to contact Hello magazine to arrange photographs in the court's time?
This case has wasted enough public money as it is. I would like to get on before it enriches any more undeserving lawyers.
Fat chance, my lord.
People have been ringing up to ask you about your dad. People you don't know, law lords and the like.
How is he? Why did it happen so suddenly?
Don't know. It's a lifetime of rich food and fine wines. Oh, thanks for these, by the way.
How are you?
I just can't concentrate, you know. I have to force myself.
Bet you wish you were doing a nice petty larceny at Snaresbrook.
It'd be better than a rape.
A very wise man once said, walking to a rape trial is a bit like walking to the freezer.
Thanks for that, Paul.
I don't want him to die, Mum. Too many loose ends. I've grown all fond of him now. I'm still angry.
Hi. It's been a long trial.
Do you want a coffee or something?
No, I don't drink coffee this late.
Very sensible.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you.
Oh, you disturb me.
Not your type.
Whoever told you that was a liar?
Well, you did.
We'll stay tonight. I'm not going to tell anyone.
I don't think he raped.
I do.
Excuse me, if you're not living together, and you definitely shouldn't be...
I picked her up.
I hope you haven't been getting to my junior. I might have to talk to the judge.
We traced the mother. Dead, but interesting.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mr. Gilbraith, you haven't yet given evidence in either court, have you?
No, the original trial was stopped before I could give my account, which I'm pleased to get the chance to do.
After you'd parked the car, what did you do?
I put the seat back and we made love. Rachel seemed quite frantic, in a real hurry. And all I was thinking was how nice it would be to do this properly, in a bed.
And what happened then?
Well, after we'd finished, she didn't say much. I drove off, and she was in the back finishing getting dressed.
Did she say anything to you?
She just directed me to where she wanted me to drop her off. I asked her on the way if I could see her again, and she said, "I told you I was married, didn't I?" That's the last thing she said to me before she got out of the car. She'd gone very cold and distant, and I remember thinking, poor girl.
What made you think that?
Well, she was gorgeous, but I think she was lonely.
Are you sure she wanted to make love to you? 100% certain.
She didn't at any stage, by word or gesture, say no, or stop, or anything like that.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbraith.
Suppose the judge could be forgiven for thinking she might have gone for a quick one in the car park. Dad? Sorry. Nothing to be sorry for.
I am, anyway. Will you? Will you get me out of here?
My Lord, I would like to introduce as evidence a pair of gloves found in dustbins near the respondent's home.
My lord, these gloves were not admitted during the original trial because they bore no trace of either the plaintiff or the respondent.
My Lord, I would submit detailed evidence in due course, but I can prove an identical make of gloves was purchased by the respondent's girlfriend, Serena Clifford, at Selfridges approximately 2 years ago.
I can't admit late evidence without studying it in some detail, Mr. Farmer, and I am doubtful.
Then perhaps I may be permitted to cross-examine the respondent if he has returned from choosing the menu for the wedding breakfast or whatever. Why did you choose that particular car park, Mr. Gilbraith?
I didn't. She was very eager. I thought we might have an accident, so I'd turn off the road as soon as I could.
That car park's used mainly by commuters. Very busy in the day, empty at night. It's close to a nearby overhead train line, the noise of which might muffle any of the victim's screams.
I'm sorry, I just went there and parked.
Excuse me, my lord. Your father.
I think he's got an infection now. He's very hot.
I'll go and sit with him for a bit.
These are all the films hired on her card. I've seen them all. Nothing to interest a frustrated rapist there. 779 minutes, including a French arty movie. I have to confess, I didn't quite finish that one.
La Lune Noire. I like French films.
Here, take them, please. In case you can't sleep.
I just heard about your client not having any money.
I thought I saw the light at the end of the tunnel there, Mo. Bankruptcy discharged. I was even going to go to Gamblers Anonymous. Now I'm worse off than I was before.
I think you need a holiday.
C'était une belle journée de printemps. J'étais à mon petit café habituel. Elle était belle. Elle était étonnante. Souriante. On s'est parlé. Elle a ri. Et ses lèvres magnifiques. Voilà, là dans la gueule, mon poing.
Once more, new and very specious evidence at a last hour.
I will see the film. Mr. Farmer, it must be relevant. The court will adjourn.
Sorry. So boring, I fell asleep.
Oh, Henry, this is D.I. Joan Fernandez, the original case officer. How's everything?
Hi. A 23-year-old woman read the reports of the case and came forward yesterday, too scared to report it before. Similar fact, back of the car, hand in the mouth, Cornwall last summer. He gave a different name, but it could be him. The description fit.
You going to arrest him?
CPS are only going to go for it if you win.
Oh, no pressure then. Excuse me.
Right. Did forensics have a look?
Wow, don't believe this. Got no right to be looking so well.
Can't rely on your civil judge loving you.
No, never thought judges would love me.
He'll think collapse of original trial, bloody waste of money. Presume your poor alleged rapist on legal aid? Oh dear, not a level playing field.
Case is nearly over, Dad. I'm cross-examining Gilbraith tomorrow.
Ah.
Thought you were a goner.
Well, I'm not.
Why did you tell me about you and Mum?
I'm sure she would have told you when she thought you were ready.
About what? She have an affair?
Oh. Something got lost somewhere. She felt hurt. I felt hurt. Never sorted it out. Thought it best to leave her to do the job of bringing you up. Did it rather well, I think.
Gotta go.
Way to get your man. Make him angry. But you're far too nice.
You told me you lost those gloves I bought you.
Yeah, I did.
So how come they found an identical pair in your rubbish?
Oh, come on, I told you it was a plant. They're bastards. All of them.
The bloody odontologist, £900.
And Judge Kagan didn't like that French film at all.
Did you hire a French film called La Lune Noire from the high street shop Video Metro at 200 yards from your home on September the 9th last year?
I don't know. My fiancée is the member there.
Can you think of any reason why she would hire this film 4 times?
She liked it, I suppose. She watched a lot of films when she was pregnant.
The film ends with a particularly realistic and violent rape scene. Do you remember it now?
No.
A woman is raped when 2 men break into her apartment. The scene lasts for 27 minutes. Do you remember it now?
I wouldn't have been interested in it.
It's a beautifully shot film, but it dwells in shocking detail on the face and the expressions and the indignity of the victim of a prolonged and violent rape. Do you remember it now?
No. I have no interest or recollection.
You hate your mother, don't you?
My lord, this is impossible.
It is hard to see the relevance.
Your mother first left your father when you were 8 years old and went back to working as a prostitute, didn't she?
That's a lie.
You don't have to answer that question.
My client has had to endure a stream of remarks about her personal life and background in 2 courts.
Mr. Farmer, I understand you're under stress. You have my sympathy. But please, don't bring your personal feelings into this courtroom.
My lord, this is of urgent relevance. I'd also like to enter an up-to-date odontologist report.
I shall permit you to continue, but my patience is wearing thin. You may be damaging your case.
When your mother deserted you, you left home and went looking for her, didn't you? But she kept dumping you back home again, taking you back to your father who didn't want you either, isn't that right?
My lord, you can't allow this.
Is it right, Mr. Gilbraith?
Yes.
You felt angry and powerless since that time and have developed a hatred of women who won't do exactly what you want. You raped Rachel Browning to give yourself a sense of power, didn't you?
No. She was an easy lay who was angry with her husband.
Earlier, you described her as flirtatious, possibly lonely. You said you felt sorry for her. Now she's an easy lay. Is that what you really feel?
I didn't rape her. She was asking for it.
She wasn't asking for it at all, was she? You decided she was asking for it, just like in the film, only 100 times more real.
I told you what I said, okay? She was begging for it.
One of the rapists puts his gloved hand deep into the woman's mouth until he's choking her. Does that ring any bells with you at all?
No!
You washed your gloves in the washing machine. To be doubly sure, you threw them in the rubbish, didn't you?
Those weren't my gloves.
Draw the court's attention to the odontologist's report. The odontologist has performed a test using microscopic analysis of discrepancies between the flexible surface of the leather gloves and the inner lining. Comparing it with the plaintiff's dental records, he finds a pattern of tiny indentations on both the upper and lower surfaces of the fingers of one glove, consistent with it being placed inside the plaintiff's mouth.
I am so angry. Disgusting man. I made the really unprofessional mistake of completely believing my client. You learn from this.
Miss?
Oh, thank you.
I hear it's not going very well, miss.
Oh, thank you, Ray. Brilliant time to state the obvious. Oh, I've been thinking about your advice re my husband, you know, alimony versus my career, and, well, I'm afraid anger and avarice have won the day. I'm going to take him for 50 million.
Miss?
Thank you.
So how long do I have to wait for a verdict?
Hard to say.
I'm so pleased about your father.
Oh, thanks. Oh, take me to court, report me to the Bar Council, just leave me alone.
All right. So you don't want to know I've traced the cash owed to you. That bench solicitor who ran off with all his clients' money.
Jerry Findle?
Quite an electronic journey. But you should get a fair bit. So, if you get paid for this, I might get you discharged by the end of the year. Subject to some further economies.
Having considered all the evidence, I believe it is likely that the respondent, Michael Gilbraith, did rape the plaintiff. I shall now give my reasons in detail.
Taking my boy Zach over to Ireland next week. Fancy a glass of black velvet and the Hennessy Gold Cup at Leopardstown? Separate rooms, obviously.